Welcome to the 21st video. We're going to get so that we've got like a little trigger, and we're going to use an event to turn on and off the presence of the wall here. And then also we're just going to, before we do that, we'll do a little bit of work with the terrain just to make things look a little bit better. So I've clicked on the terrain here, and we've only got one material. We can add another material there. So I go create layer, and then we can choose right from here, and it should pop up all our materials. I'm looking for sort of this gray stone probably from that pack. And I'm just going to use my brush, probably increase the opacity a little bit, and I increase that brush size too. And oops, it's way too big. Something like that. There we go. And now you can just sort of paint along on the top here. So just making sure I've got the brush. Brush is read only. As long as you make sure you click on that layer, you can sort of go in and sort of paint. So depending on what you want to do, I'm not going to do a great job here, but I just wanted to show you this. You can sort of go around. You might want to make this a lot smaller. You can use the, just like in Photoshop, you can use the square bracket keys to sort of create that. Anyways, I'm just going to go paint a little bit. You can make it better than that. You might want to sort of like make it small and make a path from these sort of thing, whatever the case is. Okay. The next thing that we're going to do is throw a little object here that's going to be our trigger. So I'm going to just create another little block. Again, you can make it more interesting than this. I'm just going to add a 3D object, which is just going to be a cube. And I'm going to place it close to this. So we're just going to move it around, maybe a little bit into the ground too. Let's just see where it is here. Just so it starts sticking up above the ground so that we can walk into it and then get the wall to disappear. Okay, so something like that. We might as well add a material to it as well, just so that we've got that. So our materials here. So just in the materials here, and then we can just add that stone as well. So it sort of matches up wherever it was. Maybe I'll search for stone, gray stones. Okay, so there it is there. Might look a little bit different than the ground. We've got different sizes. You can fix that up if you want there. So we've got this little box. We are going to set that to is trigger, and then we'll create a script that goes on to this. And so we'll just add component, new script, and I think we'll call this floor trigger. Good. And so floor trigger script, we probably, let's see where it's gone. That's sometimes a difficult thing. I'm just going to throw that into our scripts. There we go. And when we open that up, oops, floor trigger, did it open it up? Went into our scripts. Just a second. This is a relatively simple script here. First thing though, we're going to use the event. So I think up here, using Unity Engine dot events. There we go. So this will allow us to use the events similar to what we did before. And so once we've got that, what we're going to do is create two fields up here, which are our Unity events. So I'm going to do a serialized field, and we'll set this to, this is a Unity event. Unity event. Good. And then that will be on entered. So we'll be able to detect if it entered. And let me just copy this. And we'll call this on exit, I guess. On exited, maybe. keep it the tense kind of the same. There we go. Okay, so on exited. So we've got these two events, and basically the trigger, we're going to do an on trigger enter to get the on entered, and then the exit, on trigger exit to get that exited. So what we'll do here, on trigger enter, and probably what I should have done is just deleted this all, but collider other. And so on here, we will just go on entered, and then we'll invoke. So this is going to be an event. And then basically, I'll just copy this, paste it. And so we call this on exit. So it's upset because we've got two of the same here. Yes. Don't worry. So on exit there, collider, and then on exited, we're going to invoke that. So exited. Good. Okay. Now, whoops. Put that in twice there. There we go. So that's working well. Now, the only issues we're going to have is that we could have multiple objects sort of on this box at one time. So one thing that we could do to sort of fix that up is just create an int to count how many are on it. And so what we're going to do here is on entered, so we invoke, then we're going to just entered, we will plus plus on that. So it's just going to keep track of how many. And then on here, entered, right, when it leaves, we will bring that down. So we'll reduce that there. When we go back into Unity now, and let's just make sure this is on our floor trigger. Oh, we haven't called it floor trigger, so let's maybe, because that's where we've put this floor trigger, let us name this floor trigger as well. Yeah, I guess that's or maybe just, floor trigger is fine. Just thinking if we should put a different name on it, and we had set it as trigger, and we've got the script on it. Now, basically what we have to do is add the event. Now we've got a bit of an error here, which seems to be causing an issue. Let's just see. Floor trigger, it might be that because I named it the same there, on entered, on exited. Those look okay. On trigger enter, on trigger exit, on exited, on invoke, entered. That was our event. I think that's okay. Mummy, okay, that's nothing there. So 0 errors here. So I think it must be an error in Unity. Let us just rename floor trigger, just floor T maybe. Does that make it okay? No, we're still getting that. Alt already has an on trigger event, same parameter types. Of course, the solution was just to make sure I save my script there. Everything was fine. Anyways, so what we've got over here is this on entered and on exited. So these are the events. And so what we need to do is just drag the wall into here, because what we're going to do is that function. So once the person's entered, we are going to make that game object set active, right? And we're going to set active to, I think that turns it off to false. And then on here, let's just try this one. So add a plus. So again, drag that wall in and make sure you're grabbing the parent one. Okay, no function, game object, set active, which is a bool, and then this one should be to true because we want to make sure that comes back in. So let's just take a look here and see if this is working. There's my brick. So it just disappears, and then when I get off of it, it turns back. So on and off. Now, the mummies aren't making that happen, so we got to make sure that the mummies make that happen. And I think the problem with the mummies is just they don't have rigid bodies on them. So let's fix that up. Let's go to our prefabs, and go to our, now what's kind of cool is because these were variants. If we go back to our mummy, what we didn't add here, so open prefab, I guess. We got to modify it, add a component. We're going to add a rigid body. And then just make sure here, we're going to turn gravity off and use is kinematic. And I think once we do that, so we should be good there. I think the fast mummy will also now have it. Capsule collider. Yep, they've got the rigid bodies as well. So let's just see now if they are going to able to open it up as well. Come on. Yep, so it flashed there for a second. Okay, so there we go. So the mummies are doing it as well now. Perfect. Now, obviously that's not quite what we want. We want the gate to stay open a little bit longer. So just a little bit more here. If we go back to the script, one of the things is there's no delay on it. So we're going to put a bit of a delay. And I also discovered that I had missed a little bit here because this entered, we don't want it to exit after it's entered, right? If the number doesn't match up here. So what we'll do, let's just sort of put it in here. So we're going to put this entered minus minus. We'll put this up here. So we'll do that first. It will count. And then basically if the entered, oops, I need to put that in parentheses. If the entered is less than or equal to 0, then we're going to get it to sort of close up here. But what we'll do is we're going to give it a delay, right? So we'll actually start a coroutine. Start a coroutine, and we'll call it like exit delay or something. Exit after delay. And there we go. And so we'll have to create that. Then we're going to, yeah, we'll move this after here. So this after exit delay, we're going to have to come in here. Oops, and let's just fix this up first here. So void. So we want this, sorry, IE numerator, I guess, right? So IE numerator, and we call this exit after delay. And so it will wait for yield return new, wait for seconds, and we'll create a little variable here called exit delay so we can change that. So we'll fix that in a second. Delay, and after the delay, then we'll do the on exit. So Control X, bring that down there, and then we said we'd create this variable. So I'm going to come up here, serialize field. I'll just copy this, I guess. Paste it, and this would just be probably a float, just in case. And we call this exit delay. And we'll set that to maybe about 3 to start with. But you can modify that if you want. So I think that's good. Exit delay. Exit, spelled delay wrong again. There we go. Okay, no errors there. Good. So let's see how this is working. So it should just, once we trigger it now, instead of it, once you walk off, instead of it automatically going back, there should be a 3-second delay. So 1, 2, 3, it should be back by, now there it is. And then the other one went across. So 1, 2, it's, yeah, 1, 2, 3, there we go. So 1, 2, well, these got guys going across, but yeah, so that's working fine. And then that will come back in. So this sort of comes back. Oh, I don't know why it popped in and out there quickly. It's doing it a few times. I guess it's getting a little confused with all these around it, but I think it's okay. Let me just double check. If the entered plus plus, entered minus minus, and if the entered is less than 0, yeah, I think it's just sort of going on. We might have to fix that up after, but at least for the moment, I think that's good enough. Good. So we'll end this here. What we're going to do next is a little bit more with some text. We'll do sort of like a combat text, I guess, where it just sort of appears right below the mummy, sort of when you shoot it, just to create the idea of sort of like floating text. And you'll see how that works in the next video.